What's up, YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Hawlucha in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help me out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So recently, Mega Hawlucha was released. So I thought it'd be interesting to have a look at Hawlucha because when it's a Mega, right, it'll be having a Mega Stone, so then it won't be able to make use of its typical used ability Unburden. So let's have a look at Hawlucha. And what do you think of Mega Hawlucha too? Like, do you like the look of it? Is it too simple? Does it work well? I think it's a pretty decent looking one compared to some of the other ones we had before. All right, so Hawlucha, the first set we're going to show here is probably the most common set, is the Unburden set. So this has a really good speed stat when you take into account the ability Unburden, and it's got 92 base in attack. So it's nothing super outstanding out of this world, but it has pretty good synergy with the moves you can give it. The abilities, we've got a Limber, stopping paralysis, Unburden, which is going to double its speed on the item loss or consumption, and then we got Mold Breaker as well. So Unburden and Mold Breaker being the more primarily used abilities for this Pokemon. We got a fighting and a flying type Pokemon too, so not too bad for typing. All right, so naturally it's a great Sword Dance Pokemon. So Sword Dance, and of course with an ability like Unburden and a flying type, you know, Acrobatics kind of goes hand in hand with that. The other move we got on here is Close Combat for a nice powerful fighting move, 120 base power, and you can also activate White Herb with it too. There's quite a lot of items you can use to consume on Hawlucha, so I'll go over, you know, as many as I can think of. The other move I got on here is Substitute. So this set is more geared towards singles play, and then we'll get to some double stuff. So Substitute, you could give it another coverage move. I kind of like having Substitute up there, but there are some other ones you could actually go for there if you wanted a bit of extra coverage on those two moves. But I found most of the time that virtually hits almost everything, and you're going to be spamming Acrobatics mostly, really, because it's going to be so powerful. The Terror we've got on this one is Flying, so you've got Acrobatics. Once your White Herb is consumed, or your item is consumed, whatever you're using to consume there, it'll go from 55 base power, and then it'll double there to 110. So it's going to be a very powerful move with virtually no drawbacks, which is great. All you got to do is consume your item. Now, EV spread, 252 of course, attack and speed. Go Adamant, because going Jolly is a waste, because it's just going to be no point. You want to put everything into attack you can, because you know that speed stat is going to double there, so there'll be a complete waste giving it Jolly. Now, as for consumable items, there are plenty of them, right? There really are tons of them you can actually use there. So I'm going to give you a few. So let's say you've got an electric terrain Pokemon. You can use Electric Seed. That's a nice consumable item, which is good. And it also gives it a buff in defense too. So that is used a fair bit. Even something like Misty Seed. Any of those are going to be good. Misty Seed, Grassy Seed, those type of ones. So obviously a team where there's a grassy terrain Pokemon, an electric terrain Pokemon, those type of things. Even Psychic Seed, you know, Psychic Seed. So any of those terrains there are going to be useful. Misty's probably the least useful out of all of them, but I just thought I'd mention that. Now, you can even couple it with berries as well. You could do Citrus Berry, Sub and Citrus Berry. That's another one too. Sub allowing you to get around maybe status moves like Will-O-Wisp. So that's another option there too. You can even do Weakness Policy. So you could try a Weakness Policy set. Maybe you could throw Sub and give it Endure, because Hawlucha's not exactly what you call super bulky at all. So you could try an Endure Weakness Policy set and that would be very, very powerful. Really, the only thing that you'd be weak against then is a priority move, and it's just going to be completely dumpstering everything, even resisted Pokemon. So that's the bulk of what you'd use for Hawlucha. Some terrors apart from flying, if you want to give them a go. I would... you could try Terra Electric. That's not too bad. The reason I say that is you'll be stopped getting paralyzed, like something like Thunder Wave. Any electric type moves aimed at you are going to be, not very powerful, and it's a flying type too, so it's very, weak to stuff like Volt Switch, any of those type of moves. So I think that'll be good. Plus, if you have Electric Seed on there, it sort of works. It works in well. So you got Electric Seed, and then you can probably have something like you could even have Terra. You could actually have Terra Blast on there. Terra Blast Electric. That could be interesting. So that'll give you an electric type move as well. Because if you have like Electric Seed and like say Electric Train in the field, there might be other electric type Pokemon that come in, or say something like a Miraidon comes in, you can get a free Electric Seed up instantly, right? Because this will draw out electric type Pokemon. So some other different options you can go for there. Trying to think of some other ones. It is fast, so you might be able to slide Taunt on there as well, but I would focus on getting, Sword Dance up and stuff like that. Let's have a look at a little bit, definitely more of a gimmicky set here, but I know majority of people are going to use the Unburden set, but I thought it has somewhat decent chance at using a critical hit set. So I thought, why not give Hone Claws a try? Increases accuracy and attack, which is going to be good for a move like Cross Chop. So Cross Chop is 100 base power. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as Close Combat, right? And you don't have, you don't have White Herb or anything like that. So, it's inferior in most ways. The only niche it carves out is having that critical hit chance. So you could give it Scope Lens and Cross Chop. That gives you 50% chance to crit the opponent. And Hone Claws is going to fix up that accuracy, right? Another one you got on there is Stone Edge too, also a critting set. And Throat Chop too, which could be somewhat handy for any, like, say, ghost types and things like that. Mold Breaker has the ability to get around any sturdy Pokemon. But like I say, this is incredibly inferior compared to the Unburden set. I don't think anyone's going to use this, but I just thought it'd be fun. Same sort of EVs there. This time I gave it Jolly because we're not making use of Unburden. All right. Let's have a look at some double sets now. So this is... Well, singles and doubles are pretty similar for Hawlucha, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really change too much. Virtually, this Pokemon consumes an item and uses acrobatics. That's the whole premise of using Hawlucha, right? That's why I found it interesting when it got recently got a mega reveal. How is it going to use... It's not going to have Unburden, is it? So what ability do you think it'll actually have? Because it doesn't have any ability yet. Legends ZA doesn't, it's not a traditional Pokemon game, so they haven't put any abilities. But something like Champions or Gen 10 in the future, it's going to be kind of interesting. So this set, we've got, I think Focus Sash is quite a good disposable item too for Unburden. I like all the other items I already recommended too. And I'll go over some strategies and what you can use them with. So let's, for this, look at Focus Sash. So we got Sword Dance and Acrobatics. They work well. Close Combat. And I like this is a little niche I like running for this, even in singles, is Upper Hand. So when you have a Pokemon on 1 health, they're very, very vulnerable to priority moves finishing them off, which is why I like to put Upper Hand on there. So that's another way of getting around priority. What Upper Hand does, it's got 65 base power. It 100% flinches only when the opponent uses a priority move. Will this move work too? So say, someone goes for a priority move and you're going to be faster than them because you've got a crazy base speed after Focus Sash, and you'll be able to out-prioritize them and 100% flinch them. So it's a nice little surprise packet move there. Another one you could slide on there if you don't want that is Endeavor. just in case you come across something that, multiple Intimidate Pokemon or something just you feel like you won't be able to feint. So that's another good one to go for. Now, I gave this Terra Flying. You could do Flying. I think that would be fine with Acrobatics. Or you can give it Fighting as well. There's not too many other real good ones. You could give it... I was thinking... Flinging back to the single set here. Another good one you could give is Fire too, because that would make it immune to Will-O-Wisp. But I don't know. I'm just having thoughts on anything different. I don't know. Flying is just really good on it. It really is, because it's just so powerful with Acrobatics. Even a resisted Acrobatics with a Sword Dance up is very strong. It's like kind of like Roaring Moon, sort of similar situation there. Now, that's my first set I would suggest there. Now, another move you could have on it is Detect or Protect. So this just keeps your Focus Sash intact, right? And Fake Out doesn't, diminish that. And plus, you can use it to check as well. So that's not too bad at all. And you could also go here and use Electric. So like those consumables seeds, basically. Any of them are going to be good. Pretty much any of them are going to work. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that could be useful. I would always be using a consumable item with Unburden. Either a citrus berry, or any of the seeds, Focus Sash. I don't know if you can use a jetpack on there. You'd have to have I don't know if you can make use of that. It would have to have yeah, actually, Close Combat. You could try Close Combat and a jetpack. Interesting. That could be a cool little niche. But if you were to do that, don't run Sword Dance, right? That would be my advice. So let's have a look at that, because this might be something a bit different. So we're gonna go straight up raw a jetpack, but then again, yeah, you lose your boost as well. So I wouldn't recommend that one. You lose your boost on Unburden. So it sounded fun, but no. Absolutely not. I was just trying to think of some other like some consumable items and stuff you could try there. But I would stick to the seeds, Focus Sash, and a berry or Weakness Policy. That's what I would stick to. I was thinking, goodness me, a meme Blunder Policy set with Unburden would be crazy. But you wouldn't even need that speed. Yeah, I don't think there's too much else you really would want to run there. I would definitely run a consumable item. I don't think it's worth not running that. Maybe Mental Herb if you're predicting getting taunted. But you're sort of going into a little bit of gimmicky territory there if you get taunted or not. So, yeah, stick with a consumable item for sure. Next sort of set we got here. Oh, yeah, okay. So this one, I tried to make something different. I mean, it's not as good as the other one. But we got Close Combat and Acrobatics going there. We've got Coaching. Coaching actually isn't a bad attack. You can raise the attack and defense of an ally. And you can get a boost there from Electric Seed as well. Now, I put U-turn on there, but that's not so bad. But you do lose your, defensive boost. But we're running Mold Breaker this time, so it's not a bigger deal. It's not like I'm running Unburden, right? So this is more of like a supporty sweeping set. So we've got like a couple of powerful moves, Acrobatics and Close Combat. Then we've got a bit of support with Coaching, and then U-turn for a bit of scouting with like an Intimidate Pokemon like Incineroar and stuff like that. So just another way to run it. Definitely not quite as good. Another good Terra is Ground on Hawlucha as well, because it is weak, weak to a lot of those moves like Volt Switch. Especially in doubles, you might find yourself wanting to use Ground too. Because you get a lot of times where the opponent, like say a Miraidon or a Volt Switch Pokemon, they're going to be a pain in the ass, right? So it might give you a free Sword Dance, and then you get Acrobatics, and then you can go like crazy, right? So that's another good way of doing it. Another consumable item, why I'm thinking about it, is Normal Gem as well. But I don't think there's too much you can really do with it. I'd have to have a look there, but that could be another. We'll have a look at that in a bit, but we'll discuss what we can do with Normal Gem. So there's really not too much you can do with Hawlucha. It's sort of, you could say it's just a one-trick pony, really. It mainly does its Unburden and Sword Dance set. It doesn't really go outside of those realms at all. Yeah, I've got a couple of more gimmicky sets here, and then we'll discuss some teammates, counters, and other thoughts on Hawlucha. All right, now I was talking about a bulky set, and here we go. This one's going to be more suited for singles, unless you've got serious support from your ally with like Rage Powder or Follow Me. So we got a bulk up set. It does get bulk up, which could be definitely overlooked because of Sword Dance. So we got bulk up and Roost. Drain Punch it gets too, which isn't a bad fighting move. And we got Acrobatics on there too, of course. You know, staple move. Now I've got Moringa Berry as my consumable item. So when it gets hit by a special attacking move, that'll increase its special defense by 1 stage, and then it'll also, you know, Acrobatics will instantly double in base power. So with the EV spread I actually gave it here, we got max health, max special defense, a 4 in defense, and this is going to make it quite specially defensive and quite bulky, quite bulky on the special defensive side. And then we can use Drain Punch for damage there. And with Unburden, I'll be outspeeding everything, right? So it'll be a bulky, it'll actually be a very, very speedy Hawlucha, but with a lot of bulk. So it'll be able to live surprising hits. And then it'll have Drain Punch for sustain as well, which could be really cool. I gave it Terra type fighting. I felt like that was probably more suited for this set. So another way to run Hawlucha. Actually, I've tried this before. It's not too bad, but it kind of hinges on you getting hit by a special attack. And then again, like, how well are you going to take that special attack? Because, you know, 78 base health and 63 special defense are not exactly great, right? You may not even live a super effective attack for a powerful Pokemon. Anyway, something fun. All right, we had to do a PIMPNITE special here today. So I was talking about weakness policy earlier on, but I wanted to give a special set a try, so let's check it out. So this has got Endure weakness policy. It does get Focus Blast, which is pretty cool. So 120 base power, shaky accuracy. We've got some reason it learns Grass Knot, which is kind of cool, I guess, for, you know, like Swampert and stuff like that, or 4 times a week, or a Groudon. And then we got Terra Blast Electric as well. Electric is just there so it doesn't get paralyzed or whatever, and it's got like an electric move to use too. So we got max special attack, max speed, modest nature. It actually gets okay special attack, like after a weakness policy. It's actually not too bad, but the moves it gets are absolutely terrible. So you have to try and endure it in front of something that was, you know, it's weak to quite a lot of types, so it wouldn't be too hard. It's weak to flying, ice, electric. So many different types, you know, psychic, fairy, like it has a lot of weaknesses. So weakness policy is quite a good item for it because, yeah, it can be activated easy, and then Unburden can be activated too. Limber is also another ability it gets, but man, like it's hard. It's hard to make use of that because Unburden and even Mold Breaker are just so much. Even on meme sets, it's like the moves and the moves it learns. It's hard to get that to be useful, right? Anyway, let's talk about some teams and some counters and stuff for Hawlucha. So dubs, double and singles, I would highly recommend Rillaboom. Rillaboom with Grassy Surge is going to be very good if you're running a Grassy Seed, right? That gives it a defensive boost, which is great, and you can go for it with acrobatics with no item. So that's a great one. Another one, you've got Miraidon. Of course, you've got Miraidon as well. That's Electric Seed. Another interesting one you could use as well is Pincurchin, because that's got Electric Surge as well. So that could be useful, and it's quite a good little Pokemon for doubles because you can actually give it Acro Pressure and give your Hawlucha Acro Pressure boost as well. And it's quite a good little support Pokemon in doubles, right? So you could give that a try. Okay, let's talk some counters because there's quite a lot. Let's be real. So, in my opinion, the number one counter for Hawlucha is Goldengo due to its typing, right? Because you've got acrobatics, which is resisted, and close combat doesn't affect it. And there it's 2 moves it always uses. So I would call Goldengo its number 1 counter. Unless it's carrying something like throat spray or, throat chop, throat spray. It's not going to be too bothered by it, to be honest. Another good one that can get around it is Raging Bolt, especially if there's electric terrain and stuff as well, because its signature move is an electric type move. It's Thunderclap, right? So that's a good counter. That's a good counter to when it's got Unburden up, it would just destroy it with Thunderclap. And any real bulky defensive Pokemon. I was thinking Corviknight. Corviknight doesn't care about acrobatics, and it can somewhat tank close combat and hit hard back with Brave Bird. And even Skarmory to an extent as well, more so for singles, for Skarm. But yeah, those sort of Pokemon there would be some excellent counters. I mean, there's a lot of counters for Hawlucha. It's not a super hard Pokemon to counter. Any priority moves are going to be bad for it as well. Anything like Ice Shard or Fake Out is going to be a problem. Getting rid of its sash. But it pretty much, and it's very predictable too. It's always going to do close combat and acrobatics. That's going to be the main thing there. So once you know what a Pokemon does, it's going to be fairly predictable. Plus, you can't get around that priority thing. That's why I kind of liked I was talking about that weakness policy set I was running. Yeah, that weakness policy one. That Focus Sash one I had. It's like Focus Sash. No, I had like Endure or something like that. I had an Endure set. Yeah, I had that Endure set. Then I had Upper Hand. That's what I kind of like, that Upper Hand niche there, because that's where it really falls down. But then you've got to sort of like, okay, do you go weakness policy and Endure, or do you try and get a weakness policy without Endure and keep Sword Dance on it? That's the thing too. So it's difficult to fit all those things in. All right, so they got some counters there, got some good teammates. Another annoying Pokemon for Hawlucha as well is Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl can set up Pranks to Reflect, and it can also Thunder Wave and Taunt too. So it's going to be pretty bulky and annoying to get around. Plus, it's also got Spirit Break as well, which is going to destroy Hawlucha and do lots of damage to it. So that's a good counter, and just in general annoying, and Parting Shot and annoying stuff like that too. So that's another good counter. Not exactly hard to get around Hawlucha, to be perfectly honest. So let's have a look at some last minute thoughts about Hawlucha. As I said, it is a pretty one-track Pokemon. So it gets Agility, which I don't think anyone's going to use because it has Unburden. It's got a couple of Baton Pass capabilities if the rule sets you play there. It does get Default, which could be interesting for doubles. So that might be a 4th move slot you could slot onto there. Detect Protect for singles. Encore's not bad either. You might be able to... you might be able to Encore the opponent in singles into like an entry hazard or something like that. And in doubles too, you could use that too. Maybe on something trying to set up and you could quickly Encore them. Home Claws, we went over that. There's not really any point in running unless you want accuracy. Sword Dance, that's standard. Taunt's good. It's got good speed. That can be used. Coaching's not too bad either. I sort of went over that. It gets Mean Look. That's really interesting, but you can't really do too much with it. It's interesting how it gets that move. Oh, Quick Guard's not too bad either. So it does get Quick Guard, but it's difficult to try and fit that in there because you probably want... What I would have is I'd have it a Pokemon with Quick Guard, with Hawlucha, especially when it's on 1 health of Focus Sash, right? That would get rid of those priority moves. So that's pretty much it for Hawlucha. It's quite a straightforward Pokemon. If you got anything to add to that or any other sets, I'm all ears. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Hawlucha. It'll be interesting to see in the future how what the Mega one does with like its ability and stuff. But The interesting thing I like about this is Hawlucha and Mega Hawlucha will be two different things, because this one uses Unburden and the Mega's going to have to use something else because it has to hold a Mega Stone, right? So it doesn't make any sense that it would have that ability. Anyway, people, it's thought it'd be interesting to cover Hawlucha here. We've got a couple of more legends to go, and then that's it. So I reckon this month will nearly be done with all the legends, and then we can get on to all the other Pokemon. That's about it, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this. If it helped you out, drop a like, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.